Hey everyone, welcome back to Play Casket and a little ring-a-ding-ling-ding. I apologize for the fact that I went on some Christmas shenanigans. So we're a little late this week, but it's okay.
He broke out of Mausoleum, decorated everything with trees. There's so many trees in here right now.
I have so much fake snow in here, it's great. But yeah, it's good and cool because this week hasn't really been that exciting though. So I had to come back and stuck here again. Yay. But yeah, no, we got a couple of things I think would be actually interesting to talk about this time. One of the things is not a very big video game, but kind of ties around into it. The Pokemon anime series. After 17 years, they're going to basically, well, I wouldn't say get rid of Ash, but Ash is basically moving on. Yeah. He became the Pokemon master, and now he's done. And now that he's done that, they've teased the next season and quote unquote the beginning of the next generation of the anime with which it seems like it's a duo of a girl, which I think is the lead character, and the boy, which I don't know. It comes off as a brother, but it's like the foil, like the Misty was to Ash.
Yeah.
Just without the pseudo love interest that people made head canon. So
they're gonna do it anyways.
I don't know. We don't know the relationship. Imagine that's gonna be weird.
Too late. It already exists.
It already is. It's gonna happen. Thanks, Rule 34. That's weird. It's that Avatar all over again, dude. That was some weird shit. But yeah, how do we feel about that? Like overall, and like in a general thesis. Obviously, we don't. I don't know. At least I don't watch the anime, and I haven't watched it since like I don't know, after whatever dude who used to do artwork for him and stuff. And it's like they got rid of Brock. I'm like, well, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know how to be a ladies' man anymore.
I'll be honest. I think the first was it after Johto was really good. Season like the first. The Kanto region series was really, really good. I really liked it, mostly because they didn't really know where Pokemon was going, and it was more about just a boy and his pet instead of it being like this huge Pokemon series. It was really good. I liked it. I like its antics and stuff.
We do gotta understand, when we liked it then, we were also kids.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I went back to watch it. It was still pretty good.
And there's also a bit of nostalgia to it. Like there's games that I know are bad. I still love because I grew up with them. So we really gotta like look at that too. I'm not defending older versions and stuff, but you gotta think that there's people out there who like Power Rangers Turbo Force.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people who are like, you don't remember the original? The original was so much better. And then they're like, no, because that's too old and fogey and outdated. Like there's a weird disconnect after a certain time. But after 17 years, that's a long time to chase your dream, my guy. It's a good thing that he was only 10 years for like 8 of them.
Well, to be fair, I think each series is also like not really Ash.
I think it was always a constant soft reboot.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, like the anime was essentially the main goal for the anime was always entertain the children of that generation.
Yeah.
Okay. Like even though we don't like Diamond and Pearl, for instance, right? Like we could say that's when it fell off. There's kids out there that swear by it because that's what they grew up with. So there's a lot to kind of like take in and understand that like some of these people, like that's what they grew up with. That is there was probably a time when like that's why he keeps letting go of. I think that was the whole reason why he let go of several Pokemon in each season. So he just had a reason to catch another one.
Yeah. And
then let it go. So you had like when we had the Bye Bye Butterfree episode, they had one when he had to let go of Lapras.
Yeah.
Or he had to let go of he had ones that he had to let go later.
Which reminds me about the was it people who would do video breakdowns as to like why Ash is a terrible trainer, and they're like, damn it, he could have won if he wouldn't have let his Pokemon go.
Yeah. And like there is a lot of stuff like that. That was just like we gotta at least acknowledge that, you know.
Okay.
So, and
Hopefully she's
it's
competent then.
and it's I don't know. Like honestly, when you look at the Pokemon like anime watch viewership and stuff, it has been getting more progressively and predominantly female. And it's been happening. It's been happening quite a bit with like a lot of anime recently.
Yeah.
Like a lot of anime, and I'm talking about like new anime. I'm not talking about like ones that just kind of sit around for a while. I'm like, even One Piece takes on like more leading female roles like periodically, and making a major focus on them and stuff.
Yeah.
And for the most part, like that's just because more females are watching. So it was
I
probably.
don't know. I think it's just because the merch sells better though.
Well, female merch in general sells. I mean, look at all the figures you buy.
Yeah.
You know. But even then, like, having a character that was a female for an audience that predominantly watches it, and I'm not saying out of representation, it's just more marketable to them because they don't want to buy Ash stuff. In fact, Ash stuff doesn't really sell.
Yeah.
Pikachu does.
Yeah.
So, like, people, like, there has been talk out there that people are like, oh, they're going to bring back Ash back. From at this point in time, where does a Pokemon Master go?
I don't know. If
you know?
Sorry.
Stop trying to die again.
Hey, you got out of here. I need to get out too.
By killing yourself again? That's weird.
You double die.
You double die? Weird.
But shit, where were we? Oh yeah. But if it doesn't do well, I still think they're gonna jump back to Ash.
But where would he go? What would be the cause? Like, what would make him come back? Like, he's not mastery enough for Master. You know what I mean? Like,
just reboot it. Like it's.
But why reboot it? Why go all the way back to Kanto when we don't even have like remakes of those series in plans or anything?
Then explain the levels, like
you know, like we
explain
we
the
probably
levels.
We probably won't do it. They probably won't do it with that. Like, it's just gonna be hard. It'll probably be easier to just bring back a Pikachu. Not the Pikachu, not Ash's Pikachu. Just a Pikachu.
Okay.
Because think about it, like even the marketing in Japan has been changing. Has anyone else like noticed that there's a shit ton more EV marketing and coverage and like exposure?
Yeah.
Like not just in like Japan's marketing schemes, but it's also like one of the only two Pokemon and Pokemon Go that would actually have a unique buddy system.
Yeah.
Or buddy animation. Mm-hmm. And then there's a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I'm like, how did Eevee become the foil to Pikachu? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that was interesting too. But then you see people like talking about a new evolution as the lack of is the reason why they were not buying Violet and Scarlet. And most of those people are predominantly female. So I'm thinking the whole Eevee angle is because they're marketing a lot towards women and it's selling. Like there's even like Eevee picks and Pikachu picks in the sandwich making in Scarlet and Violet. There's no other Pokemon. There's no suggestion of other Pokemon. There's no type versions of other Pokemon. It is literally just Pikachu and Eevee. There's nothing else. There's like other colored Pokeballs. There's other little shapes and sizes and stuff like that, which are fancy. But as far as picks and other little weird things, like Pikachu napkins and Eevee napkins, Pikachu picks and Eevee picks, like there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
One of the very first Terra Raid Battle events that they did was an Eevee one. Which was like it like so. I think one of the things is like if they're not bringing Pikachu back, what if they're just going to bring Eevee in?
It's a bold strategy, Paraka. Let's see if it pays off.
Like honestly, like I feel like that's the case here. You know, like there's a lot more Eevee talk than I've ever noticed before, and we're not even in a generation that even introduced anything new.
Well, I do know
we're generations off.
Eevee does appeal really well to the normie crowd. Like,
yeah, well,
Have you seen the
it's just
the purses?
Too.
No, like, have you seen the purses and the designer clothes,
the merch and stuff like that? Yeah.
So
yeah, the merch, the weird pens and stuff like that. There's like weird little things like in several retail stores and stuff. If you go into the check lanes, they have those like little pens and pencils and stuff, and sometimes they'll have Pokemon versions. The last one they did was all different Pikachus on one side and different Eevees on the other. But like this is a recent situation. Like this isn't a thing that they've been like doing for a while. Like at least it makes sense with Pikachu.
Yeah.
You know, this is recent. This is just before Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee recent. You know, like it's interesting because like we're generations away from a previous one that actually introduced a evolution, and they've done two major Pokemon card sets that were very focused, if not entirely focused, on evolutions. So it's really interesting to see all of this. So with that in mind, what if they don't bring Pikachu in and they just bring Eevee?
Riot, we riot.
Why would we riot? We don't even watch the anime. Bring back the person I'm not watching anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it is a segue into the game. The whole point is to get you into the game or the cards.
Yeah, and honestly, like with the when you look at the Ash merch and stuff, that didn't really sell. Pikachu did. You know, what if they bring in a new Pikachu with like a weird striped ear or something? They could easily cross promo that to all the games and stuff like that too. Like, we'll have a raid battle with striped ear Pikachu or some nonsense like that. You know, like it's stuff like that that makes me wonder what's going on. You know.
Okay.
So that's where I kind of suspect going on. Is there anything you kind of want to add to that at all?
Skeptical, right? Well, mostly just because translation is going to be shit. I don't trust it.
Well,
English translation.
Let's be honest. A lot of people say that all the time anyway.
No, I don't. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not once.
Yeah. Bleach does it.
Yeah, that's and they wonder why
leave an awkward silence so Kevin can actually get a word in edgewise.
Well, that's the reason why everybody watches dub, because they just they give themselves too much liberty to translate shit that like wouldn't even be in the context.
The problem with some of this stuff too is the lack of understanding what the context would translate to. Period. There's people who know Japanese but don't understand Japanese culture. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there'll be stuff that like that's culturally Japanese that's very like you'll have like a culture shock or a very huge disconnect. In this time, and like they will try to you can translate that to how a Western audience would actually relate to it, but sometimes like they will just take that way too like, oh well, it's actually really just all this what I think it would be, and I think that's what tears it down. Problems that we have with that is that with like translations that we give people like a little too much creative liberty with it when it's trying to like there's cultural differences to a point. Like if there's something that's very exclusively culturally Japanese, that would cause a culture shock if we directly translate it because nobody would really understand it.
Yeah, I know, but
so
have you seen the butcherings? Have you seen the butcherings though?
I've seen some butcherings.
Yeah,
I've seen some legitimate butcherings. Like I have. I'm just saying there is some that like we gotta understand. There is some that they try, and I'm not saying all of them are like this. I'm not saying like we gotta be reasonable as for what's going to happen, because there was one that people complained. There was like a meme one, you know, like if there's a Japanese exclusive meme, it's just easier to use a meme that we relate to in that same context. Yeah, you know, for the simplest version of what I'm saying, you know. Okay. But there is like stuff that is like cultural, like school problems that Japanese really have that we don't. Yeah. The same thing. It goes back the other way. Yeah, like there is the weird there's weird cultural things that like Japanese they'd crap themselves if they actually knew and understood what type of things would reference, you know. Yeah. But it's the same things with it happens, and I'm pretty sure I would like to know if anybody out there knows like Japanese and Japanese culture, if there was ever a cartoon from the West that was royally butchered into the Japan. Like I want to see if that happens. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, like, I believe like if it happens one direction, it has to happen the other. Oh, okay. Like it has to. Like we're not the only unpure place. Let's be honest. There's probably a lot of lazy Japanese translators out there too. Oh, okay. You know, or Brazilian and stuff too. I heard some really bad Brazilian ones. In fact, there was there's an ongoing translation that China did that was like exclusively like completely out of context, and it was just them like basically saying how good China is.
Yeah.
In space. Like, it was just the weirdest thing. And anyway, but going back, like we'll have to see. Like, it's not something we watch religiously. I think it would be interesting to kind of at least peer into it when it finally releases and see what we think would, what I think it would be a good way to kind of like mini review it and say, this is where I think that direction's going to go.
Okay.
So there's that. So other than that, let's segue into some other interesting stuff. So, because due to the popular requests from all one of you,
it was Kevin. It's Kevin's fault.
We're going to talk about the an interesting release announcement that just came up from Square Enix, which is Final Fantasy 1 through 6 as a pixel remaster.
It looks good, actually.
Something that we wanted just Square to do instead of do weird bullshit like they're doing with the remake. Remake, reconstruction, retaliation, resurgence, other re's. They're just going to end with one that's very woke, and it's just going to be Final Fantasy 7 re. So, yeah. Anyway, pixel remasters, exactly what we fucking wanted. Thank you, Square. I will buy this. I will buy this twice. I'll buy it digitally again, and I'll buy it on another system somehow.
They're gonna George Lucas it. Right?
Now you just ruined it, man. Like, why did you gotta do that? No, I am excited. This is actually what I kind of fucking wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted this shit right here. This stuff, I want it in my face with all of its pointy pixel nonsense. Just shove it there. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm hearing that it's just basically kind of like a complete just a remaster, try to get it all into HD, all into like the widescreen version of it and stuff like that. So it's not just we upped the graphics so it doesn't look like sludge, but we're gonna add frames to the side of it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Capcom. And but yeah, no, I'm excited about that. Because one, there's like 3 games in that I still haven't been able to get my hands on. And 2, Final Fantasy VI exists again, so everyone can touch it and realize how much better it is than Final Fantasy VII. Sephiroth can't control and destroy the world. Kefka did. Checkmate. Also, Kefka had more than one emotion. But yeah, no, I'm excited about this. This is honestly, this is kind of the crap I kind of actually want.
Yeah.
More companies, like more major companies, to do, like, with their older stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind if Capcom comes out and makes a Breath of the Fire, like, pixel remaster trilogy, like a Breath of the Fire.
You're gonna get 3 games and they're gonna be $60 each.
That's Cap. And no, they're gonna just release one. They're gonna release 3 of them on a cart, but 2 of them are on code.
Yeah.
And then you still have to mandatory download a day 1 patch for the other one, even though it's just like a 7 gigabyte.
Or what is it, like 1 and 2 is on a cartridge, 2 and 3 is on a cartridge, 4 and 5 is on cartridge, and 6 is on its own cartridge with like a special edition, something that makes
what? If they are all on cartridge, I would still buy them, but that is not the Capcom way.
Yeah, true.
Let's be real here. They'll make one half of that have to be a digital code, and it like comes with some stupid art book, as if that makes me feel better, and it doesn't. It doesn't, because the fucking art book is gonna be digital too. It's gonna have its own code. No. But no, this is exactly what I wanted, and I like, honestly, before this was announced, I don't think there was any major company that had something really exciting for me to play. Like this, I'm excited for this. This is something that gets me going.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for Advance Wars reboot for a while, to a point where I am just exhausted. So I expect a port of Codename Steam, Nintendo, but that's never going to happen, Nintendo, even though it should, Nintendo. That way I still have this. This is nice.
Yeah.
The only way they can beat this is if somebody really announces that they're remastering Turok Rage Wars now, because that's basically it. And there was an announcement of like Glover 64 coming out on the Switch here soon too.
Okay.
Which I'm excited about too. So let's see how that rolls out.
No, it looks good.
So-
Just don't fuck it up. Hopefully it's not Cloud.
It's well, from what I looked up, it actually looks like it's a physical release.
Okay.
So that tells me that right there alone already has even has a 35th anniversary edition, which I kind of want to pick up.
Which reminds me of like Kingdom Hearts on Cloud. Like, why?
Like, look at that.
Why?
I'm still okay. So I still swear up and down, Southeast Asia still hasn't gotten it. By the way,
Oh, okay.
so a good portion. The moment it does, because they love Disney and they love Square, the moment it does, it's going to be on physical. Mark my words.
Okay.
Because they're going to need it. But yeah, no, like they have a 35th anniversary edition, which I kind of want to. And it's at the Square Enix store if anybody else is interested. It has like remastered pixel vinyl stuff, and it's physical for both PS5 or 4. That's 4. And the Switch.
Oh, damn.
And it has little acrylic little details of these little guys and their little job stuff. It's adorable. So I need to shove a lot of money into its face.
Speaking of Square Enix store, I have a feeling they're gonna Game Pass their shit. Just you wait. It is the future,
Ew.
and it's gonna end up.
Well, the thing is, like, I think a lot of people like Game Pass because it for them, they think they have this weird mentality of, oh, I have these games and all I had to do is pay $10.
But you're paying
is the
$10 a month for shit you don't want to, though. That's the thing.
Well, not even that. Not even that. You pay $10 to borrow somebody else's game.
Oh, okay.
That's basically it. You
Yeah.
don't even have that. You don't even have those games. Now, if you wanted, let's say, if you wanted to play the Crash original trilogy, like you wanted to play the original trilogy, like, no, it was too risque because Tana looked very like it is not culturally appropriate to have that anymore. It's too sexist, and they remove it. That's on them. Like they get to do that, and you're paying them to do that to you. That's like with Disney Plus, they're removing videos and movies that people watch because they're like, it's not in season. It's digital, you fucking moron. You know, like, and then they're like, well, can we have a physical of it? No, if you want it, pay Disney Plus, but you don't have it there.
Yeah.
Then wait for the next time it's in season. What?
Unsubscribe. Yeah.
Like that's the crap that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mark my fucking words, dude. That is exactly what's gonna happen. It looks good right now because, you know, it feels so great to have all these games to access, and all I have to do is pay $10 a month and I could download whatever and play whatever and all this nonsense until you no longer get to.
Well, the thing is that as to like why it worked in the first place was because it was this Netflix was just one site that had everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like you have Disney Plus, Hulu Plus, HBO Plus.
Yeah, Ubisoft's looking to do one. EA already has EA Origin.
And in
like,
the end, it turns out to be just paying as much as cable. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore.
and it's like I'd rather have physical because
Yeah.
I'd rather pay instead of paying $60 a month for access to several channels all the time. I'd rather just pay $60 once and have the one game I do want to play. The whole reason why I have access to it, you know, I straight up would, and that's the major problem right there, you know. But until then, I'm still going to buy like all my physical releases to show that I want that stuff, and I am still genuinely upset that they still haven't made a physical version of Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition. Yes, the whole reason why I want that so I could put it on the shelf and be like, look, Nintendo in one generation caught up to everyone. Even though the Pocket Edition is worse in graphics, it still plays, apparently from my understanding, it still plays and has the same pacing as the original game.
Okay.
So in a way, you're still getting the experience, just not as pretty.
So please,
You know?
Square, don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up.
Yes, do not fuck this up. You want to know who isn't fucking stuff up?
Huh.
Neon Falcom. Because Neon Falcom just like announced last year they have a couple. They got a couple of studios to develop Switch games natively instead of having Nippon Ichi Software basically port it for them. So that means Tales of Reverie is actually coming out of their studio. So that means they might actually know how to actually handle it, and they're not going to have weird bugs like Trails of Cold Steel 4. I think, yeah, 4.
Okay.
The bugs aren't that bad. They're a nuisance, but they aren't that bad. But other than that, they also announced an exclusive to the Switch. That is wild.
Oh, okay.
So, to add context to this, Neon Falcom is very, very hard for Sony. They stuck it out. They released games to the PSP and the Vita, and they're still exclusive to those things.
Yeah.
And they still said, even when they didn't sell very well, that their market is on Sony platforms, and that they would not move on it.
Not for long.
And then they started. Well, they almost went bankrupt. Like, they were like, no, it's just nobody really wants to buy these games. I guess we're not. They thought that it's just nobody wants. And then Nippon Ichi Software stepped in and was like, we kind of actually need extra money because we're developing this Gaia 6, and that takes a lot longer to make in 3D. So they ported Trails of Cold Steel 3, I think, and then 4 later. But 3, they started doing that, and it just started selling so much to a point where Nippon Ichi Software actually has an exclusive deal with them to publish all their games onto the Nintendo Switch outside any that they develop themselves.
Oh, okay.
Now they will also, but Nippon Ichi Software will still do the localization.
Yeah.
So the localization will still be on them, even though Nihon Falcom will be publishing the Japanese versions of those games. So that's crazy for a company that's been 25-ish years of just dick hard for Sony, and then they're like, nobody wants our games anymore, and then wait a minute, what are these guys? We are weebs on the go, give us our stuff. And they just go, okay, and just give it to us, and then it's just been selling wild. Apparently, dude, okay, so before this, I barely hear about Ys.
Yeah.
Ys was around on the PC and the PlayStation, and it was such a weird oddity in the back. Even when I was on the hardcore RPG run in my youth, I remembered them. I remember the names, I remember the logos, but for the life of me, I never really thought much of them. They just seem so complicated and convoluted. And the story is, and the mechanics are. So yes, they are weirdly convoluted and complicated. But it wasn't until not too long ago where I saw a weird YouTube video that guy made fun of, I think it was 4. I was like, you know what? I should try to give these a go. And I picked one up. And they do a recap of everything. And the story's still convoluted, and I'm trying to get the recap on it, and I don't get it. Okay, so Ys is a lot better than Legend of Heroes. Legend of Heroes has a weird story thing that's very strongly connected. So unless you know or played the other ones, you're not going to really understand these other ones that come out. You just don't. But Ys is loosely connected. They're constantly this one guy at all, which you play, and then his buddy Dogi basically travel the world, and they just get into wild adventures in each one, and it's the adventure's isolated to that. Then they go on a ship and fuck off to somewhere else. And it does it again. And now there will be some times where some of the characters will allude to one of the previous adventures, but it's such a non-issue that you're wait, it's one of those if they mention oh, I remember blah blah blah, and you're I played that game. Yeah, that's for me. But other than that, you don't really need that.
Yeah.
You just get the concept that they do go to these wild adventures.
It still makes more sense than Zelda.
Yeah, actually it does. I'm not gonna lie.
Because at the very least, Zelda, none of the games mention each other except for the Triforce and the 3 characters. Because at the very least, they would have been oh, this is the ocarina from a long time ago, and then that would be an official hint. But for the most part, it's just
Wind Waker hints the hero of time.
Oh, okay.
And that's what kind of drops that. So
yeah, but it loosely
acknowledges it. But the whole point is to be distant away from each other, that they don't really know each other very much. Whereas the adventures in Ys would be a 5-year gap between some of these, or a 2-year gap, or a couple months, or whatever.
And then they paused, they looked at the screen and said, "Remember the last game?" And then everybody nods. Yeah,
and they're just
So there's that.
Yeah. Well, I'm currently playing AI the Somnium Files, and literally the second game has you at I just started the second game, and it literally pauses your game and asks you, do you remember the first game at all? I'm like, I should probably play the first one before I say anything. I literally turned it off and I started playing the first one because I thought they were like isolated to one another.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or at least like loosely connected.
Yeah, because even Ace Attorney, you could just jump in and know
like,
what's going on.
Yeah, and like even then, like they loosely say, "Hey, didn't you die earlier?" No, that was gravely mistaken.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, "Okay," and they just fuck on off again. And like so, Ys is a lot better to grasp. So I actually dug more into Ys. It's an action RPG, which is actually really great.
Yeah.
The game is very anime as far as the storytelling and stuff. It's if you think of One Piece and you think of any story arc, I'm pretty sure Ys is gonna cover it. Like, I feel like that's just get rid of the gum fruit, and that's basically how we're gonna roll with this.
No,
like
okay.
there's been some wild stuff, but it's been fun. But so they just announced a sequel, or not a sequel, an exclusive to the Switch, and that's huge. Think about it. A company that's like, no, Switch, no, always Sony, no Switch, blah 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 blah. We're about to die, and then turn around and go, we're gonna just develop for Switch now, and that's it. Like it blows the mind.
Yeah.
So I think that was that was kind of crazy too. So, but looking at our time, it's probably a good time to kind of cut it off right here, even though we could probably rant about more RPGs, and I'm pretty sure all 12 of you are going to love it. But
we'll see what next year holds for us for 2023.
We'll see what holds us for next year. Next week, we'll probably do a couple extra fancy recordings and see what rolls out. So I'd like to thank you guys all for sticking with us this entire time. If you like our content, feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And as always,
we will see you on the other side.
Hey everyone, this is Paraka.
And Ghost.
I would like to say thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and share our video with your friends.
You can also follow and support us on other social media such as Minds and Rumble. Links in the description below.